It's Michael, and today I'm going to be walking you through personalizing your intervals account, and that all happens out here in the settings and defaults section. If you're wondering who has access to this section, by default all administrators do, but there are options to control administrators from seeing plan info and also settings and defaults. So if you want an administrator to run with creating projects and running work but not tinker with any of these defaults, that can be done by editing their profile in the people section. Here on the Settings and Defaults page, this is where you name your account. You can change your intervals domain name where your team logs in. If you're using the default intervals logo, you can upload your own logo here. Also, you can select the visual theme. There's some pre-canned themes available here. Also, there is an advanced theme editor. So if you have somebody on your team that knows CSS, you can modify intervals even more. The intervals administrator, this is the person that owns the account. There can only be one intervals administrator per account. So if this person happens to leave the company or you want to make somebody else in charge or owning the account, you can do that here. Basically, the current intervals administrator can demote themselves and pick somebody else to be the administrator. Time zone settings, and then locales. So date, time, currency formatting. Currently, we support over 60 locales. If you're using intervals for invoicing, the default invoicing can be set here. You can do a separate logo for your invoice. Default fine print. If you happen to be using a different invoicing system and you need to get the numbers to line up within intervals, you can do that here. And then also there's support for double taxation. So if you're in Canada or a place where you need to apply a second tax, you can do that here. Default work types and default modules. So work types, these are what you basically apply whenever you're applying time. It'll be tied into one of these work types, and work types have hourly rates. And so this is where you specify all of those defaults. And then when you create a new project, these defaults get added to the project, but then you can change the hourly rate or remove the work type from that particular project. The work types and modules both work in this fashion. So the best way to think about it is these are pools that are available, and then when you create a project, they get pulled in, but then you can remove whatever's not needed or change what's not needed for that particular project. If you've been using intervals for a while and you happen to add a new work type or module, this option right here can be used to assign the new module to existing projects. And you can do it with a couple clicks and just add it to all your existing projects. Modules, here's where you define your default modules. If you're struggling with modules, we recommend creating one general module initially, and then whenever you create a task or add time, that default module will get automatically selected. And the best way to think about modules is they're buckets where your time and tasks go. So when you're creating a task, you select a module. When you're adding time, you select a module. And they can be really powerful with reporting. So in almost all the reports, you can select certain modules. Also, on your task list, you can filter for certain modules. So say you're doing agile development, for example, and you have a backlog. You can run a task list filter for a particular project and look at the backlog. If you're doing e-commerce, for example, say you have a module with e-commerce, these are all the tasks that are needed to build the shopping cart and get it deployed. You can run financial reports on that to see exactly how many hours, who did the work, and what's the financial value of the work that went towards e-commerce. So there's just a quick example. Hopefully that helps. Task statuses and task priorities, these are global as opposed to default. So when you change these, they are indeed changed everywhere. And you can modify these to fit your particular workflow. Task priorities also, you have the ability to change the sort order and the color of them as well. QuickBooks, if you happen to use the QB timer functionality of QuickBooks and you want to get your time data out of intervals into QuickBooks in IIF format, there's some instructions here. Oftentimes customers do that want to actually create all of the invoices in QuickBooks as opposed to intervals. Exporting and importing data, if you come out to these sections, just about every area of intervals can be exported in CSV and XML format. Importing data, if you happen to be using Basecamp, we have a Basecamp import. If you're using just some proprietary system or other system, there's templates here, so you can open up those templates, see how it lines up compared to your data, and then you can manipulate your data and import it here. Email hopper, this ties into the work request queue. Basically, Intervals has an email account that you can send emails to, and those get pulled into a queue that you can assign to existing tasks or create new tasks. It's a great way if you do trouble tickets. So this is an introduction to personalizing intervals. If you're new, we recommend just checking out the settings and defaults area. playing with each of the tabs and work on getting intervals dialed in to fit your workflow. Thanks for your time.